Hello, I'm Pastor Rick Hope from First Baptist Church in Lillian, Texas, host of Sunday Mornings with Pastor Rick on NowLive.com and Challenge from the Heart on NowLive.com. Incidentally, Sunday Mornings with Pastor Rick is also heard on UE Radio. I want to talk to you today about Thanksgiving. Luke 17, verses 11 through 19, talks about 10 lepers that came to Jesus for healing. They said, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." When he saw them, he said, "Go and show yourselves to the priest." And as they went, they were cleansed. One of them, when he saw he was healed, came back praising God in a loud voice and thanking him. And Jesus asked, "Well, were not all 10 cleansed? Or are the other 9? Was no one else to return and give praise to me?" Then he said to him, "Rise and go. Your faith has made you well." Now at my house, we're very big on our children remembering to tell us thank you. My 2-year-old Destiny is so cute whenever we give her something. Day cool. But I desire for both of my kids to say thank you and for it to be more than just a word. I want to bring them to a place where thankfulness is more than polite, but a recognizable part of their personality. Are we at a place where thankfulness is a recognizable part of our personhood? A few years ago, the Peanuts cartoon pictured Charlie Brown bringing out Snoopy's dinner on Thanksgiving Day. But it was just his usual dog food in the bowl. Snoopy took one look at the dog food and said it isn't fair. The rest of the world is eating turkey with all the trimmings. All I get is dog food. Because I'm a dog, all I get is dog food. He stood there and stared at his dog food for a moment and then said, "You know what? I guess it could be worse. I could be a turkey." But the truth is that thankfulness is much more than a comparison of our own situation to someone else's. Thankfulness is so much more than having food to eat, a nice warm home to live in, good health, or financial security, because each of these circumstances can be taken from us in an instant. Thankfulness is a state of being and a way of life, and we usually fail to achieve that because we take so much for granted. We're like the world traveler who's been everywhere and seen everything, and takes for granted the blessing and beauty of all that he has seen. We become so accustomed to our blessings that they fail to excite us and generate thankfulness, for we take it for granted. Emerson said that if the stars came out only once a year, everyone would stay up all night to look at it. We see the stars so often that we don't bother to look at them anymore. In like manner, we've grown accustomed to our blessings, and quite frankly, we've become spoiled. Jesus shares with us the account of a leper who was not spoiled. There have been many guesses as to why the other ones didn't return to thank Jesus, but I want to focus today on the one who was thankful. He tells us that being thankful is not only expressed through prayer and public proclamation, but through attitude and through living life. I doubt this leper had a great deal of joy in having leprosy. Lepers were shunned by society. They had to live outside the city. They had to shout unclean whenever they came close to others so they could be warned to stay away. The first century belief was God gave leprosy to punish those who were sinful and disobedient. If this was your station in life, being looked down upon by society, being told that you have leprosy because you found disfavor with God, I wonder how much joy and thankfulness would exist in your life. I believe this leper maintained a spirit of joy and thankfulness, which enabled him to be more fully appreciative of what Christ had done for him. We've all experienced leprosy, a time where we felt separated and alone, whether it was in the death of a spouse, the loss of a job, the dissolving of a marriage, or the infliction of emotional pain. We've all had circumstances in life where we've lived outside the city, where we paused and said, "God, what did I do to deserve this?" My understanding and my relationship with God tells me that the leper didn't deserve it, and the same can be said for each of our bouts with leprosy. But do we share something in common with the leper? Do we share his thankful attitude? Does your life represent a spirit of thankfulness? Are you one of those people who exude thankfulness, or are you more like Snoopy, whose thankfulness is based on comparison? Being thankful is so much more than a comparison of circumstances. Being thankful is so much more than a private prayer or public proclamation. Being thankful is expressed through your attitude in living life. The leper also teaches us that thankfulness completes healing. Healing means to be made whole, and while all 10 of the lepers found physical healing, only one found wholeness. I remember when my mother had open heart surgery a couple of years ago. To be honest, I was scared to death, but I breathed such a prayer of thanksgiving when she pulled through. I wonder how thankful would I have been to God if she had not pulled through. Isn't He still provider and healer even when the circumstances don't go my way? Now, I'm not suggesting that we thank God for crisis or pain, but what I am suggesting is that we thank God for His continued faithfulness and presence in the midst of that crisis. I am suggesting that we thank God for the strength and growth that we experience. I am suggesting that we thank God for the shower of mercy that soaks us during crisis. Crisis situations don't always turn out the way we want them to, and the pain that we experience, be it physical or emotional, is very real, but we can still find healing and we can still find wholeness by maintaining a spirit of thankfulness. And finally, those who receive life as a gift those who receive life as a gift to be lived in dependence upon God will be characterized by gratitude that drives them in the community of God's people. That's part of why people gather in church each week. Yes, a relationship with God is personal and not dependent on the church. God's desire is that we live our faith in the community with fellow believers. When we live life with a spirit of thankfulness, we realize that life is a gift from God. And in gratitude for that gift, we are driven into the community of God's people. The psalmist says, "Save your people, bless your heritage, be their shepherd, and carry them forever." Those words are about community. And it's within the community of God's people that we are more richly and completely experience the thankfulness and fullness of life. You see, Thanksgiving is so much more than food and football. Even though Thanksgiving is a national holiday, originally sanctioned by the federal government, it was set aside to offer thanks to God. Here's what George Washington said in proclaiming the first Thanksgiving holiday. He said this. He said, "Whereas it is the duty of all nations to acknowledge the providence of Almighty God, to obey His will, to be grateful for His benefits, and humbly to implore His protection and favor, whereas both the houses of Congress have, by their joint committee, requested me to recommend to the people of the United States a day of public thanksgiving and prayer, to be observed by acknowledging with grateful hearts the many and signal favors of Almighty God, especially by affording them an opportunity peaceably to establish a form of government for their safety and happiness. Now, therefore, I do recommend next to be devoted by the people of the states to the service of that great and glorious being, who is the beneficent author of all the good that was, that is, or that will be, that we may then all unite in rendering unto Him our sincere and humble thanks." Thank you, Almighty God. Have a happy Thanksgiving. I'm Pastor Rick Hope.